measurement is it's like a data. At the end of the day, people were looking at an instrument and data to just look how is their processes are running okay or not, how much energy it is consuming, can we decrease the energy consumption because energy is very expensive, and then what are the emissions that they are making into the atmosphere and the climate, and then how they want to reduce this. Saudi Arabia, with their vision 2030, they want to decarbonize very fast. Saudi Aramco, which is one of the biggest oil and gas producer in the world, they have really bring down their flare, which is a gas which they emit out from the plants. They have reduced this flare emission, almost by 50%.
Are we ready to measure the future? Hydrogen and CCUS.
What is not getting measured, you cannot manage. Measurement is the key. It helps companies to turn their ambitions into action.
Gentlemen, hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining me. Like you introduce yourself?
Yeah, myself, Jay Gadhavi.
Yeah.
I'm general manager at KROHNE Middle East. We are based in in Dubai. It's our regional office. I've spent more than 20 years in business in my career, which is at the intersection of technology, strategic leadership, and the industrial revolution and the transformation which is going on.
Quickly, well, it's probably not quickly because it's been 1 or 2 years. How did you end up here? How did it become?
Yeah, I think I studied engineering, and I was picked up by one of the top Fortune 100 companies. It's an American firm called Emerson. I was picked up by them from a college, started working for them as an engineer, started learning. It was back in India at the time, and then I was moved to UAE, got an opportunity for a British company.
Yeah.
And then so on. In 2010, I started my career at KROHNE.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been 15 years now. I started as an engineer, which was the core of the technology. So I know the technology in and out.
Yeah.
And then slowly I took a leadership role. I evolved into it. And that's where we try to help our customers, to solve the complex challenges of decarbonization, how to make their operations smarter, how to make it run energy efficient, how to reach to their net zero goals.
Yeah.
And so on. But yeah, it has been a fantastic journey, so far.
In those 15 years, how advanced or how far have we come in technology-wise since those 15 years? Or have we?
I think it has changed a lot, I mean, for us as a company, KROHNE is a 100-year plus old company. It's a family-owned German company.
Still?
Still, yeah, still family-owned. So we are very unique in itself, we grow very much organically. It's a different way of growth in the business.
Yeah.
We don't borrow too much money, from the market. We do everything on our own cash flow basis. That's a family-owned German style of business.
Right.
But it hasn't changed much. We have been always a flow measurement company.
Yeah.
And even now we are the same. But what has changed is the things around us. The world is changing.
Yeah, definitely.
The technology evaluation is changing. People, what are they looking for is not only a simple measurement. People are looking for technology which gives them more data, more metrics, more diagnostic features, how they can look at this data and how they can transform their business. This is what industry is asking.
Yeah.
So we are basically the same, but we are evolving with every technology.
the flow, right?
Yeah, before we used to just have a sensor which you can see the readings, and you have to go all the way there to look at it, where the readings are, and somebody will write it down and then go back into their headquarters and say this is how much is an output, of our power plant or a water plant and so on.
Yeah.
But today you don't have to do anything. You are just sitting in your the tower, in the main headquarters, and you can look at the whole plant. Every data is on your iPad
You're giving the trade secrets away there, Jay. Richard, it's very Sure,
No,
very busy.
it's just fascinating how the technology has evolved through internet,
Yeah.
through wireless technologies, and how everything is at the at the tip of your fingers.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Jonathan, yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Jonathan Ashton, Head of Marketing Communications at KROHNE Middle East in Africa. You've been at the company 15 years. I've been in Dubai less time than Jay's been at KROHNE. So almost 4 years now.
Okay.
In the position with KROHNE. Previous to that, I'm probably the least technical person in the 4,000 employees we have all over the
So you
world.
4,000.
Yeah.
And still a family business at 4,000 employees.
Yes.
You know what? I don't. This is me. I always think of like when I hear like family, you think, oh, it's like a solid 50 people, maybe 60. You know what I mean? With the cousins and nephews. Yeah, 4,000 is wow.
Just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great set. I mean, of those 4,000, we're lucky as well. I mean, you talked about the evolution of what we do and what we keep doing. 10% of that is in R&D.
Okay.
But we're always sort of thinking about what's coming next and how to partner with the customers and
Yeah.
what have you, building these solutions. But my experience prior to KROHNE was always in agency. So I've been in public relations, marketing, advertising. So coming in was a bit of a different. I wouldn't say it was a brave choice by the KROHNE leadership in the Middle East. They wanted to do things a bit differently.
Yeah.
I think traditionally, because we're a traditional company, we've tended to attend all the big trade shows like your ADIPEC, your WETEX, your World Utilities Congress. Yeah, that's how we would kind of do marketing, brochures, handshakes, customer events.
Is that like the term old school, or is that the trade norm? Would that be the normal way to do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think globally, that's changing as well. I think in Europe, there's less and less emphasis on trade shows and exhibitions, whereas here, I think it's part of the culture. We really like to get and meet people, have a coffee and have a proper chat.
I think I can just say, like in the old days, people used to just go to a trade show, there's a desk, you put your logo, in the front, two guys are standing with the tie,
Couple of brochures,
couple brochures, and then everybody's trying to come and talk to you.
Yeah.
These days, it's all about digital marketing, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you are just on LinkedIn, social media. It's just completely changed how we approach our customer.
Do you is it easier now, or is there more challenges now where you're competing, or is it yet to be?
Well, I mean, is it easy? I don't know. I'm often at odds with our sales team because they're a bit like Jay said. They love trade shows.
Yeah.
Lots of paper products exchanging hands.
Yeah.
We're sat here now talking about decarbonisation, net zero, going greener, and what have you, energy transition. I'm trying to remove all paper because when I first joined the company in the old office, there was a cupboard, and I was told that's your marketing cupboard right there. I opened it up, got through the cobwebs. I felt a bit like an Indiana Jones kind of thing going through there. And there were brochures that were printed it was still this millennium, but, things were not quite as up to date as they should have been.
Wow.
So I was concerned about the waste that was going on because things move fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And if there's a new product coming out, well, yes, you've got your brochure there, but if you're not using it, it's just a waste.
Yeah.
So I now, and the sales guys hate me for this, I'm like, guys, QR code. Or send them to the website, or there's a touch screen here, guide them through the demo, different use cases, applications, where do you need to do this?
Yeah.
But they still come to me and say, no, I want that brochure. I'm like, I'm not moving. So there's some real fun.
And as you were saying though, is the brochure mostly a MENA region thing, or as American thing, or Europe thing, or is it?
You know what? I think KROHNE quite likes we're still quite traditional.
I think it's just more of an industrial thing, because you are in an industry which is an old school technical people. They like to read, they like to go through the paper, feel it.
Yeah.
So it's very technical engineers, process people, and I think it's just an old style of looking into paper.
Yeah.
Like nowadays we have a Kindle and all, but people still like to read the books, like and do it in that old. So
I think I don't know if you've ever been to one of the big B2B like energy shows, but people love to leave. That some people just come to the stand and ask for the freebie. And I'm like, I'll give you a pen if you speak to my sales guy. Okay, and then
That's a good up.
we've got to fill in the form and go through the motions. If you're interested, then we'll see what we can
Get
get you.
details.
Or even the ducks, yeah, those are the favorite.
The rubber ducks are very, very famous as well. Yeah,
We have rubber ducks.
we do.
You did bring one today.
It is his marketing.
There's a new design every quarter. They're very collectible, but and this is me with my eco warrior hat on.
Yeah.
It's not recycled.
We
It's
can't use rubber.
So I've said to the guys in Germany, really, you need to source something differently here.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's a rubber duck. So I don't know.
It's very high in demand.
But they love it. People love
When
it.
you get like bamboo ducks, bamboo is like yeah, like
They're made out of cork.
so. If you say, oh, so that does take off. I want 10% of the after treatment. Gentlemen, let me ask you a quick question. What is this is straight into the hard but easy question? What is the measurement foundational to the energy transition? Would you say? Go with you, Jay.
You know, measurement is it's like a data, and for any processes, you take a power plant, you take a desalination plant,
Yeah.
or you take a food industry, or an oil and gas plant. At the end of the day, people were looking at an instrument and a data to just look how is their processes are running okay or not, are they safe or not here. But what has happened, transformed nowadays, that data is much more important for them to identify their baseline. What is their efficiency? How much energy it is consuming? Can we decrease the energy consumption because energy is very expensive? And then what are the emissions that they are making into the atmosphere and the climate? And then how they want to reduce this. So that's where the backbone of the measurement has become much more stronger now, and companies are relying on this data in order for them to go to the next step and transform their entities. It's like making your, before the data was invisible, and with measurement, you can make that invisible visible.
Right.
So that companies can look into this and say, okay, I'm consuming much more energy than I should. Yes, I need to look into this particular process out of the whole plant and try to solve that first, because this will take me to the net zero goal.
Yeah.
And that has changed drastically. The measurement was just a data point, but now it is much more meaning, and it helps companies to jump to that next step.
Yeah. Do you find the measurement is more highlighted? It's got more noticeable, more higher up the food chain.
Yeah, I think we have clients, who comes to us and says we have a fleet of marine vessels, and we want to decarbonize. How can we do this? And we say, okay, that means we have to start looking at all the process data chain.
Yeah.
And by implementing some of our technologies, we are able to tell them that when a vessel starts from China and comes to Dubai Jebel Ali port, how much carbon emission this vessel has made. And if they would have chosen a different route, maybe they could have saved some more carbon emission.
Is that accurate?
It is very accurate, because that's the technology about. We are a measurement company.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for over a century now. Our specialization is measurement solutions, to help companies decarbonize, digitalize, and how to get sustainable operations for them.
Yeah.
And this is what we've been doing for other industries as well. We do the same for energy sector. We do the same for water sector. We do it in food industry. We do it in marine as well.
So covering across the board.
We do it.
It's amazing. I was going to say, this is more of a, I think you kind of covered it in this one. What real world problems does measurement help solve?
Well, this marine solution that Jay was just covering actually came about because of this EU regulation in 2020.
Right.
Basically, they said no carbon emissions over a certain amount coming into Europe from ships. Otherwise, huge penalties.
Right.
So this was great, because for me, it's one of our best sustainable innovations, because we literally looked at exactly what the customer pain point was.
Yeah.
Avoiding these fees, as well as cleaning up their general operations,
Yeah.
being more efficient. But now there's this almost like a stick to go with the carrot. Maybe I'm a bit old school, but I think regulations are really important for pushing this decarb. I think there's been too many voluntary measures like do this. It's a nice thing to
It
have.
can when it suits you, kind of thing.
But I think this kind of regulation really helps. And the EU sometimes is criticized as being, overly critical and over prescribed on these things. But I think it really does make people sit up and take notice. So we've had it in action, the EcoMate, for around 5 years now, and it's just grown all over the place. We have a marine division based in Norway and in Italy now as well. But the Norway team originally they said they put pen to paper. They said, well, we're going to do an end-to-end solution.
Yeah.
It's a full analytics dashboard. It's got our measurement technology in the ships. So, fuel efficiency and emissions. It's feeding into real-time analytics dashboards as well. So you can pick that up anywhere in the world. You could be sat, I don't know any sailing terminology. You can be sat in the poop deck.
Yeah.
Looking at your iPad or back at the port, exactly as Jay said, and it helps you plot the most efficient routes there. Another sort of real world thing. We literally had a call this morning. It's something we've had the technology for, but now we're focusing more specifically on it. It wouldn't be a podcast in 2025 if someone didn't mention AI at some point.
It was on, but sure, it's on one of these.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But obviously that's all powered by increased data center power and capacity. Data centers are not the most energy efficient places in the world. Ironically, there was a report from PwC came out a couple of months ago where they said in the next 5 years, the Middle East will be a new focus for data centers.
Wow.
Because we've got the land to build it.
Yeah.
It's quite hot, but still I think there's an increase in a lot of renewable energy, which will mean the cooling will be a lot more effective. And that's an area that KROHNE is now looking at specifically, because we already have a lot of the technology there. We're just applying it to this new growth area, right? Because China, America are the big areas right now, but the Middle East is increasingly an area for that.
For example, the ships, just because my brother is in the shipping industry. Do you go directly to the shipbuilders, and from the beginning of a new ship, you guys are implemented, or what stage do you kind of get on board? Pardon the pun. The ship.
I think it's a very good question. What has happened is that the ship builds, if you know the life of the ship, could be more than 40 years or 30 years. And when those ships were built, maybe 30 years ago, the technology and the decarbonization was probably not even a word, in the market as we speak today. So I think those were built in a very old style of technology. The engines which were used to consume much more diesel, and they used to emit much more CO2. But what has happened now is the new builds which are ongoing as we speak or last 5 years since COVID, the owners of the vessels have made a very strict guidelines that we want to have the high-end engine which is consuming the least amount of fuel, which is operating at much more efficiency than the older generations of the engine, and so on. So the whole build and the technology around the vessel has changed drastically in last 5 years. So we approach the new builds as well. Those are the specifications, which are given by our end customers to the shipbuilders. Most of them are in Asia. This is where most of the ship and the vessel building takes place.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's mainly in China, Korea.
No longer Belfast.
No longer Belfast.
So I think it goes back to that, but we do approach the new builds. But at the same time, what is happening is the shift that the older vessels are actually emitting more than the newer built vessels.
Yeah.
So our technologies are also required on the older builds, which are especially getting in the range of 15 to 20 years old, because if they are not controlling their emissions, they need to stop using them, because there are the regulations are so strict that they need to stop using those vessels if it falls below a certain classification.
Yeah.
And this is where we are also very much handy as a company, our technologies, where they come to us and say, our vessel is very old. We need to keep it still further, live for another 10 years.
Yeah.
How can we still use your technology, and how can we bring it, up to the required criteria?
What's the lifespan of our measurements? Like, if I say Casey owns an oil tanker, and I implement it, what's the lifespan would I be looking at?
For us, our products are designed for 20 years. So
20 years.
every product which we design it for 20 years, and if we discontinue a product or we redevelop it, or if it goes out, we still have to maintain that product for another 10 years.
Okay.
So this is roughly, the industry standards which most of the companies operate. Yeah.
Where are we seeing the real progress in MENA? I think you just said it there, the regulations are a bit lax, but where else do you think the progress is coming in?
I think it's across GCC. Like we mentioned, they like innovation, they like transformation. The leadership is very much future oriented. I think UAE, Saudi, and everybody, including Qatar, they all look forward into the future.
Yeah.
The economy is very much used to be oil dominant or oil dependent economy, and now it is changing. We can see trade, we can see infrastructure. Everybody wants to bring tourism, entertainment into this part of the world. So there is a lot of diversification, first of all, on the industry wise, and the same is bringing back to the topic of decarbonization for each of this industry. But I would say Saudi Arabia, with their Vision 2030, they want to decarbonize very fast. Saudi Aramco, which is one of the biggest oil and gas producer in the world, they have really bring down their flare, which is a gas which they emit out from the plants. They have reduced this flare emission, almost by 50% from 2010 till now. So they are really working very hard to bring optimization, to their plants, to how to decarbonize, how to reduce their scope 1 emissions so that they can reach their net zero goal.
Do you think they will get net zero?
I think so, yes. It's a very strong plan put in place, and they want to achieve it. They are taking right investments. It needs investments. It needs follow-up, the people on the ground. But I think the direction and the vision is very clear.
Yeah.
So with the way it is going, I'm very sure they will achieve. The same is for UAE. UAE did not want to reduce their methane emission. UAE also hosted COP28, which was one of the biggest green climate tech event in the world, and they did the same. They committed, to remove methane leakages by 2030. And they are quite on track, with that. They use a lot of leak detection technologies from KROHNE. They use our ultrasonic flow meters, and they bring this efficiency into the plant and they have recovered, I think, millions of dirhams, which was going into product losses, which were going out of leaks. And we have helped them to stop those leaks. Yeah. And at the same time, they are saving millions of dirhams. At the same time, they are able to achieve their net zero goal. Yeah. So the technology is really helping, these companies and countries to achieve what they want to see in terms of decarbonization and digitalization.
Do you find that the MENA region, it's the opposite way, because the regulations take a lot of time to change in Europe, but in MENA they can do things faster? And this shows, is this a plus for the way the MENA is being run?
If you talk about any democratic, country, it takes time because everybody needs to pass that regulation. It needs to go through the whole approval chain and a committee, and somewhere to get it approved. And I think we see this everywhere. Wherever there is a democratic system, it kind of slows things down.
Yeah.
Where else, countries like China, for example, or Middle East, the decision-making power is much faster. You can reach to the decision maker very quickly.
Yeah.
Plus, they have the vision that they want to change and implement things faster. They don't want to wait and lose 2 years or 3 years in planning and then bring something, at the 5th year in action. So I would say GCC in general is very much, risk-taking appetite, innovation thing. It's in there, and I think that helps companies and technologies to come to this part of the world and test it.
Yeah.
And I always meet some people, on the plane, and they say, I'm working on this technology, and I heard if I come to Dubai, I will always find a quick test model, and it will be accepted by the governments or by the institution.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to see how UAE and Saudi is coming up with that image that people, they will accept new technology very fast. So yeah, it's very interesting.
It is interesting. Are we ready to measure the future? This comes into hydrogen and CCUS.
Well, I think to build on what you were saying there, hydrogen, it's this new miracle fuel, obviously that's come about. I mean, KROHNE, as I said, we've been like the billing system for the energy industry for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of our existing technologies, with new standards that we're working on with all the, the international standards and compliance agencies, are being applied to hydrogen as well. So I don't think it's really the future. I think in a way, a lot of these new decarbonized approaches and what have you wouldn't be possible without measurement.
Yeah.
Without companies like KROHNE and
Yeah.
and the sector to do that. But it does sort of power that, and then it gives countries like, I mean, for example, Saudi. NEOM is all about green hydrogen. They want to sort of lead out space. They have all the renewable. It's very windy over there apparently, so they got a lot of wind farms as well as the solar powers as well. So in terms of green energy that they can produce, it's part of that whole diversification piece.
Yeah.
And then you have countries like Oman that's really leapt on the green hydrogen opportunity as well, really looking to be that net exporter.
Yeah.
We were actually, Jay was on a panel last year as part of the German Emirati Chambers of Commerce energy partnership, where they announced the UAE green hydrogen strategy.
Amazing.
So we were in this whole consultation there as part of our, because we're part of the industry and we know the people there. So it was all the important topics covered there were about the standards that were needed, the compliance, really to push that forward.
I think, we've been measuring hydrogen coming out of refineries in the past, which used to call as the gray hydrogen. And earlier it used to just be hydrogen, as a fuel, and it was not that popular as it is now.
Yeah.
But now it's the green hydrogen, and if you produce hydrogen with solar or wind power, which is a clean energy, you call it a green hydrogen. But hydrogen always existed, as one of the fuel. But it was just not as popular as it has gone now in the last few years. And we have been measuring hydrogen very accurately. We have done this for Saudi Aramco.
So you had the technology already in place.
Yes, we were already having these references in the market to measure hydrogen, and we have done this in the region for Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia. We have done the same for Qatar Energy in Qatar, and few other references, I think, all over the world.
Yeah.
So our technology was ready, and that's the reason why we were very much associated with a lot of research when it came to green hydrogen.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change much because it's just the form is still hydrogen. It's just how you produce hydrogen has changed drastically. And this is where Oman and Saudi, UAE, everybody is working very hard to get the green energy in place so they can produce more green hydrogen and export this as well to Europe because the demand is huge.
Yeah. They have pink hydrogen as well.
Pink, that's the new one, is it?
That's created through nuclear energy.
Right.
So rather than although sometimes nuclear is referred to as renewable these days, depending on which side they fence.
It is becoming.
But yeah, so it's not quite green. It's pink,
and it's
you got a whole rainbow.
Have you got a measurement for nuclear? Or
we do have our technologies going into the nuclear plants. It's very critical. So the equipment which needs to be almost 3 or 4 safety levels, failures, can only go and to be used in nuclear plants. But KROHNE has been one of the pioneer in our instruments, making them nuclear industry compliance.
Amazing.
Our headquarters for nuclear is in France. France is a leading nuclear power country. They have so many nuclear power plants. Their technology is there. So that's our center of knowledge. And we do quite most of the power plants, nuclear power plants across in the world do have KROHNE's technology. The same goes for Abu Dhabi as well.
Abu Dhabi as well?
Yeah.
So did you say, so most of your R&D is done in France? Is that?
only for the nuclear.
Or is it nuclear?
Depends on the industry. So we
Oh, okay.
have different factories. We have 17 around the world,
70?
depending on 17.
Yeah.
Depending on which specialism is the focus. We're
Oh, wow.
different,
Yeah.
like center of excellence, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marine is in Norway, nuclear is in France, oil and gas traditionally is still in Netherlands because it had a lot of big import ports and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have factories and technologies and the knowledge across the globe.
Is there any reason to bring a factory here? Would there be any? Is there any need for it, or would be any thoughts of it, or?
I would love it because I think it would give us that agility to then work. We talk about the speed that the country governments work at.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not one of the sales guys, but I just see from it, like once removed, I think sometimes we could do more and be a better partner. We still do very well how we work.
If you look at the GDPs in the world right now, I think Asia, Middle East, and Africa are really the growing economies. And KROHNE has traditionally, we were a European company and we had facilities in Europe and we had to grow to Asia. So we have factories now in China. We have a factory in India for India market, for China market, for Asia. So the factories, we do have regional headquarters of KROHNE, at Expo, as we mentioned. But we are also looking at the next step now for Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, because there is a huge demand of in-country value.
Yeah.
The visions of Saudi and UAE are pushing global companies, to come and manufacture locally to boost the local economy. And we are very much interested, our management, our executive team is looking into this. And we are having a strong plan, to establish ourselves in terms of manufacturing capabilities in Saudi Arabia as well as in UAE.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think you kind of covered it, but what's changing in the oil and gas sector?
I guess, well, I mean, Jay will probably jump in. That's it. We're in the energy transition.
Yeah.
So obviously we're on that journey away from, but there's no magic bullet.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the goal is to diversify and try and sort of lessen the burden on a certain area there. I think you mentioned Germany had closed down its coal mines, and then all of a sudden they had, I think then a lot of their oil was coming in from, or gas was coming in from Russia.
From Russia, yeah.
See, geopolitics plays a role there as well. You have to be kind of sufficient with these things. I think if you look at it in terms of an energy source, there's obviously a lot more choices out there now as well. A lot more another mandates to become greener, more efficient.
Is hydrogen the trendy one at the moment? Is that where everyone's trying to get to, or?
I don't think there's any good solution.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in this part of the world, I remember I think 10 years ago, solar power was not allowed. I think I remember being at one of the big technology trade shows, maybe 10 or more years ago, and people owning solar panels was absolutely banned.
But why? Like, is it?
But now it's opened up. So,
But is it because I don't know. Is it because they deemed the solar power is too expensive as opposed to the return, or is it?
well, but I think today, the problem is as well, the life cycle of a solar panel is not what it was. We were lucky we had a tour of the DWER Sustainability and Innovation Center. They showed us the different phases of the different kinds of solar power they're operating up there. There's always new innovations coming through.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, there's the argument against, I'm going to go off on a huge tangent here.
It's all right.
But like Tesla, electric cars,
Yeah.
5 years ago, they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's going to save the planet. Now everyone's thinking, well, hang on, batteries. How do we recycle that? That's just prolonging the problem
Yeah.
into something else. We should just all cycle everywhere,
Yeah.
really.
But
But that doesn't answer your oil and gas question.
no, sorry, because see that proper tangent.
Proper time.
Proper tangent.
No, I think, for the oil and gas industry, what is happening in the GCC is the oil prices plays a very important part for the GDP of the countries. It decides whether the GDP is growing or shrinking. And that's where the oil prices plays a very crucial role. When the oil prices are around $100 or 85 or 90, I think GCC as a countries and or as a region, they are very happy because the cash is much more. They can invest this, and they have been doing this. You look at the wealth funds, of Abu Dhabi or Saudi and Qatar. They have been investing heavily outside oil and gas industry, just so that in the future, if this energy source is not there required anymore, they can really be reliant, on those investments.
Yeah.
But what makes it interesting is that when the oil prices goes below 60 and 65, this is where it starts hurting their GDP. And this is where the measurement again becomes more critical, because they need to have the exact same amount of resource, same amount of energy consumption, but they need to increase their output
Yeah.
to compensate the low price of the oil. And this is where it gets fascinating, because the measurement then becomes more important. Decarbonization, increasing the efficiency becomes more important.
Yeah.
So when the oil prices are low, it pushes those companies, to even get better.
So basically, when the oil prices is low, it's better for your business.
It is better business, yes. Because we kind of help them to increase their efficiency. It's good. So
Yeah.
it's good for everybody.
So basically, then you would not do individual building. You would be looking at
as the area,
JVC or
as a
Expo or that.
right?
That's a scale.
Yeah, at that scale is where we measure and we help the complete distribution network to keep it uptime, all the time. We have leak detection systems deployed there. We have the flow measurement points, so they can see that the water coming from A to B has reached 100%, and there is no losses anywhere on the line, because that cost DIVA or ADDC a lot of money to fix those leaks.
Do you think going forward, would you be using that technology if it became common practice? Is it possible to do for old developments, or can you only do with new developments? And by that I mean, for example, say you needed to go into downtown. Is downtown already too late to get into, but you could do for a new development, say like Neom?
I think it's both for us. The new developments are always easier because they are constructed, from the grass, let's say.
Yeah.
But the older developments, our technology, we have adapted in such a way that we can always go back to the older technology.
Right.
And the same way how we are doing it for the marine industry, the same thing which we are doing it for other industries as well.
Yeah.
So we can look at the existing infrastructure. We can take the data from the existing infrastructure, put it into our softwares, and we can give them a lot of smart analysis. How can it help them to reduce their emissions? How can they become more digitalized? How can they increase their efficiency? How they can reduce their scope 1, 2, 3 emissions? There.
I was just a quick question. I'm just wondering, how long from start to finish if I was to put it in a ship? Say tomorrow I had a ship, and I asked you to fit it out, and then get the information.
I think on an average, if it is not too much of a physical modification of the structure on the ship, we can deploy our technology in 2 days and we are out.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah. And we have our engineers and people all across the globe. So if the ship is sailing, in China, and if it is doing some work there, because they have to be at the port for a few days before they sail back, this is the time we get a call. Our engineers are on the ship in China. They fix everything, and then they are back. Wow. So it's we are pretty much mobile there.
Get the air miles in. Yeah. How this is going to be kind of to both, but how does the digital platforms and data visualization tie into the measurement story?
Again, I think what we touch base, the data was always there.
Right.
What people need now is more sense behind it. People don't want to see a data and say my temperature, for example, in a very simple term, if you have a temperature of 40 degrees centigrade, you need to manually bring it down to 23, let's say. What customers are looking now, that when it reaches 40, it should automatically bring it back to 23.
Right.
And that's the smart technology which is AI based, algorithm which
Just with AI comes back again.
yes.
New is going to pop up.
And this is interesting because customers before had to take manual intervention based on a data coming out of one sensor. And then they have to go and look into a sensor B based on the data of sensor A. What is happening now is that the tools and the software is saying if you regulate sensor A in such a way, sensor B will become much more productive,
Right.
and efficient. And this is where is the shift of the trend. Yeah, people need not only a sensor, but they need smart sensor and smart data so that they get more output out of it, and they can tell the customer what they need to do next.
Yeah.
And that is the huge shift, for KROHNE as well. We do this for oil and gas industry. We help them to do predictive maintenance. For example, if Saudi Aramco or ADNOC has a compressor, our software and the technology can exactly tell when this compressor is likely to fail.
Oh, wow.
Or go out of the service. So before that happens, the team can take the required steps to bring it up to life. So that compressor would run for another 5 years before it was supposed to go out early.
Before it goes.
And that's the beauty of the predictive maintenance based on the data which we can provide.
Is that kind of like a new technology? Is that
No, it's almost like a new layer. I mean, like we've been taking data for a century,
yeah?
and it's just this latest layer. I mean, I think with the maintenance side has always been there. I think
Yeah.
either from Bob, the old service guy, knowing that's looking a bit dodgy, but now it's all connected. It's IIoT.
Yeah.
So it's much more automated now.
And then with this new technology, then how much more advanced, like how much more are you investing in AI to help with the technology? How much more is it? Much more training for your teams to get involved? Is it like, do you have to scale up a lot more with this technology or to implement it, or do you have to kind of reshape or readjust what you currently have?
We are investing at various levels. So we call it internal and external both. We are looking into our own processes, and we are saying if we receive an email, how should we enter this data of a customer into our software? Can AI do this? So when we receive an email, before we used to manually, somebody had to enter this data into our sales CRM.
Yeah.
These days, we receive an email and it automatically goes into our CRM. And that's the beauty of an AI. It does all this repetitive task in a very simple and easy manner. We don't need a human anymore there.
Yeah.
So we are implementing this into our processes, internal processes, but we are also implementing the same, on our product level, which can help our customers. So the layer is going at every product level, internal levels. We are also doing the same for our softwares. We are also adding cybersecurity to it because the data and the AI needs.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah.
Because if the AI and the algorithm is not protected, it can completely disrupt the whole operation. It can shut a plant down. Yeah. And you see this very common these days. There are hacks, which comes in and they completely shut down a power plant or your internet of the whole nation, and it can happen. So if we are not very careful with the technology, we need to also go in terms of how to keep that technology safe and away from all the threats.
Yeah.
So we are also investing heavily as a company into our cybersecurity, which goes hand in hand with the AI.
Yeah, and that's actually something I never thought about as a cybersecurity. But obviously, if you're measuring ships and plants, and if someone gets in there, they can.
Actually, competitive advantage, right?
Yeah, I think they do. And then I don't know if it's. I heard before what they do is they blackmail.
Yeah,
they
ask for ransom.
They block you out, and then if you want to get back in, you never think on the massive scale. I think this probably thing we just answered, but I'll ask again: how has the company itself shifted, but not just its customers? But I think we kind of like technology is obviously like you were saying, these layers. But is there anything else you can think of that?
What we did is we we bought our regional headquarters first to Expo, which was a big shift for us. We wanted to be in this smart, sustainable environment.
Where were you before?
Before we were in Jebel Ali.
Okay.
So it was not it's close by, but we wanted to shift to this environment to also see what we can do, in the future, how we can shape our future, and the same things we can do it for our customers.
Yeah.
So it was a big step for us. And at the same time, we bought also a lot of local manufacturing for some of our product lines already to UAE, which was a huge shift. Earlier, we used to do this in Netherlands and in Germany. And, the shipping emissions to ship things back from Europe to Middle East was costing us, of course, a lot of scope 1 emissions.
Yeah.
At the same time, it was also costing us more money. So by shifting, our green strategy or sustainable goals, we are also able to bring our cost down. So it's always a plus, on the both side of the business. Again, it also helps us to tick box the regional in-country value growth requirement, which UAE and Saudi wants. So that has been a change, for us. We were a very small team in 2010. I think we were only 6 people in the region, and today we are close to 100. It is always changing us. How region is also asking for more growth, and it is delivering the growth that we need as a company.
Yeah.
I think we grew as an office in the region by 30% in the last year. Since we really Expo, we've really brought those capabilities in, as Jay said.
Were you I'm going to say it in a way. Were you expecting the Expo to be what it is, or have you been surprised by moving out there?
In what sense? As
in the sense of the scale of it, the opportunity, the difference between being in Jebel Ali.
I think as a comms guy, for me, a big part of the move was to boost our reputation.
Yeah,
because I think it allowed us to kind of be more mature in our approach. Like since we moved there, we had in May, for example, we hosted around 100 customers in just a couple of days. Because in the office environment, we've now got an auditorium. Which is saying we can get maybe 50 people in there for training. That's one thing we love to do at KROHNE. We're all engineers. We love to share our knowledge.
Yeah.
So we like to bring people in and do product demos or industry trends, insights, meetings, that kind of thing. There you go. So that's been really, really great. The meeting rooms are there with smart screens. There's a lot more collaboration now. A lot of silos are broken down as we've grown,
Right.
which is great. We're hiring for different capabilities now as well. I hope I'm not jumping ahead of you here, Joe, but we've even reached out to local universities, and we're bringing in interns, brilliant, from both Emiratis and international students now, and it's great because I know we're bringing it back to sustainability.
Yeah.
This sort of fresh eyes.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. I'm 46 now, but bringing in an intern to come in and just look at what we do and have their open-eyed assessment is really refreshing. So they're embedded now in the mechanical engineering team or in the systems team as well.
Brilliant.
And they're bringing these new insights there. I'll be bringing in another marketing intern soon as well. So be working with me and doing things.
And like you said, then it's like getting the next generation's eyes and input and how they see the world, I suppose. And
exactly,
Yeah.
because I'm an old dog, so I need some new tricks to come in. So we bring in the students there. Yeah, it brings fresh perspective and also builds your ecosystem. So you've got these relationships now because of the partnership with the Higher College of Technology. We've been invited in to judge students' projects.
Brilliant.
And we're part of an advisory board now where they invite the private sector in to talk about what do you want from our graduates. So we can feed into that and say, well, actually, they need more real-world experience. They need these kind of trainings that are internationally standardized.
Yeah.
And what have you. So we can really, it's a real conversation with them. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think they also invite us for their startup. They have the students are working on startup projects.
Yeah.
And we go and we evaluate them. We have a look, and if something is interesting for us, we even ask them to develop it for us. so that they can become also part of our team or our development together. So it's just shaping the future, with the young talents, especially the Emiratis at HCT. They are super knowledgeable, they're young guys and girls, and it's interesting to see how we can bring, a very 100-year-old KROHNE German technological driven company, but with the Middle East.
Exactly. It's great to see it.
Yeah, and I always say it, I personally would like to see as Middle East getting their innovation into the world, not the other way around. Middle East has been taking technologies and following America or Europe, or China, but it should become somewhere other way around, that the technologies are also developed here, which is used by the other regions. But that would be the real game changer, in coming 5 to 10 years.
That's brilliant. And the shift to Expo has just opened that up. I guess it's given us a new
I was just going to say, it's
a new view on things.
Yeah, it's giving you open a few doors that you didn't have in Jebel Ali.
Yeah.
What is? I think we kind of covered it again. I probably should read the next question before I. But what's next for measurement? I know that we talked about the youth and that kind of stuff and AI, but what's next on your cards?
I mean, I think Jay mentioned this, but 100 years we've been doing this, and KROHNE hasn't really changed. I think the technology's improved. We've got more precise. We've added on layers of different technologies, digitized, connected, and what have you. But at the center of it all is just this precision instrumentation, what have you. And I think that's going to stay the same. I think the speed. There was actually a cyber security hack, a global one, at the start of this week. I know this probably won't air in the right time frame, but they attacked companies and academic institutions with physical hardware through SharePoint.
Oh,
because it's a bit of an easy attack.
Yeah.
It's an older technology, and a lot of and actually the main hacks were Germany and the US. Apparently, this is what the report said. But I think AI helped develop this hack, but also AI helped to defend against the hack as well.
right.
So it's kind of this double-edged sword. Yeah, I think you'll see more of that going through the measurement pace as well. There's the speed of evolution of the technologies,
Yeah.
both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I
in a way.
suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think as you said, like the technology is 100-year-old technology and it's getting there? How far can it go? Like, in the sense of, if you take where we are now, say 5 years ago, where could it be in 10 years?
What is changing is in the plants, especially the plants which are power plants, desalination plants, oil and gas refineries. The shift is towards more wireless technology as well, because we see a lot in the home environment, but it is not exactly replicated in the industrial environment yet. I think that is the shift which we see much more. Before, we used to connect 100 sensors in a plant, and we had to hardwire each of them.
Right.
And then it goes to a certain location, and then it is reviewed by some people, then it goes to a third location. Everything was hardwired. And today what we see the shift, that all those 100 sensors are deployed easily, much less, I think 1/10 of the time which it needed to be installed.
Really?
And then it is reaching to 10 different locations. Anybody can access this.
Yeah.
And that has been the shift, but I think it is still the industry adaptation to the newer technology takes time. So I would say more 10 years, it will be again more wireless. It will be more industry 4.0, which will be a lot of IoTs, a lot of robotics needs to come in still. And of course, the layer of AI and dashboards, it will be a lot of dashboard controlling. We had recently a customer, from a country with the Ministry of Oil, saying we have more than 100 oil assets and gas assets. We are giving this to international companies to come and explore these assets, whether it is offshore and onshore. We want to have one dashboard where we can see everything, what each and every companies are doing in our country, because the asset, the oil and gas, natural resource belongs to us.
Yeah.
But we want to have a real-time data when somebody is even having 1, liter of oil more out of our soil. We want to have that real time.
Wow.
And this is a kind of a, discussion which will happen more in the future. Everybody wants to see this as the smart dashboards so they can take the right decisions for their economies.
And this is probably, I don't know if it's an obvious answer or not. The measurement can't get any more accurate at the moment. Like, have you reached 100% measurement? I know it sounds like
This reminds me of a joke. Sorry. Yeah. I think it's the Olympics. The French cycling team are very good. My wife is French, so I love this. The British beat them in a cycling race. Is it Team GB or whatever?
Yeah.
And the French were absolutely like, "Oh my god, the British are cheating. This is ridiculous. How did you do this?" And Team GB just said, "We just have rounder wheels," which I'm sure would be the same thing here. They're just even rounder.
Yeah.
That's how we got faster. So I don't know. Have we reached maximum measurement?
Yeah.
I think we are our technologies are talking at 0.05, 0.01 level, which is even a ml, like a small ml level. We can measure a liquid, whether it's a water, LNG, kerosene, petrol, anything. So the measurement is quite accurate. It's at even a drop level, we can measure it accurately. So it's there, I think the only thing what would change more is just the data sense behind it.
Final takeaway, this is the boat. Yourself, Jay and Jonathan. What final message would you like to leave with our audience with? And it can be about anything. It can be about the future, the present, where you are, where you're going, where you've been. Maybe Jonathan goes.
I just think, the point I got lost in before was when I joined the company, it was there was a struggle as to positioning ourselves as a company that could be part of the green business, the green economy, the sustainability, the net zero, because we are very practical, we're engineers. But now we're in this position now where, our slogan is measure the facts. And I think that's, although it's a few years old now, I think it still rings very true.
Yeah.
You've got that accountability. As long as you're very black and white in your approach, that's exactly the insight that you can then build on and make positive change from.
Yeah.
So I think we just keep measuring the facts, we'll be okay.
Keep measuring the facts. Very good. Yourself, Jay?
Yeah, I think it's the transformation partnership. We have done this globally and all over the world. We want to be partner with different industry. We want to help them achieve their goals, whether it is marine, whether it is energy, whether it's a water sector. And we want to be part of this journey where we can transform, those industry to save the planet, and to have this impact on the people, on the industry and on the future for us. I think it makes more sense. And I think the data is important. Again, it's a measurement. We say what is not getting measured, you cannot manage.
Yeah.
So what gets measured can only be managed, So again, measurement is the key. It helps companies to achieve, turn their ambitions into action. That's where the data and measurement is so important. So I would say, it will be interesting to be part of those transformative journey, for the industry and for the region.
Very good. I look forward to it. Jay, Jonathan, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll come back again.
Yeah.
And have another chat.
Great stuff.
Well, thanks so much, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.